Good morning to everybody. Welcome to this webinar, this IULM Flow webinar. Today we will talk about sustainability and blue economy, blue natural capital. I'm Stefania Romenti. I'm professor of strategic communication and sustainability at IULM University. And today we are here with Giulio Magni, who is the director of One Ocean Foundation. And so I wanted to leave the floor to Giulio because I think that this topic, so the topic of the health of oceans and seas, is very, very crucial for human health, first of all. And so during this presentation, we will try to be very focused on importance of awareness and literacy about oceans and seas. So thank you, Giulio, to be here, and I leave the floor to you for your presentation.
Thank you, Professor. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for this opportunity. I would like to share my presentation. Let me share my screen. Can you see it? Okay. So I would like to spend this time together, giving first an overview of One Ocean Foundation and about the ocean value. So giving you some indication, some information about what we do, what's our mission and what's our projects. And then I will spend a few minutes explaining what we have been studying over the last 5 years on the relationship between the ocean and the blue economy. At the end of this session, you will have the chance to ask us some questions. So, and also if you want, you can interrupt me whenever you want. So, One Ocean Foundation is a non-for-profit organization launched 5.5 years ago here in Italy. We are, I would say, a leading platform for the ocean. Currently, we are working a lot on our mission that is dedicated to accelerate solutions to ocean issues. Since the beginning, we have identified as a priority to involve leaders in terms of universities like yours, as companies, as people, as institutions, in order to create a platform on which we would like to promote the conservation of the ocean. So to promote all the activities and all the efforts already in place to fight the ocean issues and to promote environmental sustainability. So we want to become an open innovation blue economy system in which we work together in a collaborative way with all the stakeholders, relevant stakeholders, not only in Italy, but also abroad. We are based in Italy, but we have an international approach. So the vast majority of our projects are international, and also part of our team are international too. So as I said, we have been working on ocean issues, but I would say on 3 main pillars. The first one is blue economy. Blue economy is a research on the relationship between businesses, so companies, and the sustainability of the ocean. So we have been studying how business activities can create negative or positive pressures on the ocean well-being, on the ocean ecosystems. The second, I would say, area of intervention is environmental projects. Thanks to an independent and international scientific committee, we have selected critical issues where to invest, where to work to for having an impact. So we have projects related to biodiversity. We have projects related to blue carbon, for instance, like Posidonia oceanica conservation. And we have several other projects, for instance, related to pollutions, so plastic pollutions, chemical pollutions, and so on. The third area is education. We really think that it's very important to involve younger generations in order to be them aware of the importance of the ocean for their lives and their lives for the ocean, and in order to promote new professionals that work on the ocean ecosystems. And all our projects are in place considering three main objectives: awareness. So the first thing is to promote awareness and knowledge to be aware of where to dedicate our efforts. That's the first important thing. The second one is to create ocean literacy, so knowledge through scientific community in order to improve and to increase the knowledge of our ocean. You have to consider that our ocean and our seas are unknown. We just know the 10% of our oceans. Every year we discover new species, we discover new characteristics of our ocean. So it's important to promote, to invest on knowledge of that. The third one is impact. Everything we do has to be traced, has to be linked with KPIs in order to be measurable. That's a very important thing. So, and as I said before, we have area of intervention that are defined by our scientific committee. So I would say that ocean pollutants are one of the most relevant, but of course climate change, it's a lot connected with the ocean and with ocean ecosystem. And then we have blue innovation and ocean literacy, as I mentioned. We are dedicated on one of the SDGs. So as you know, the Agenda 2030 identified 17 sustainable development goals, and we are mostly dedicated to the 14, that is life below water goal, and we aim to protect marine biodiversity and coastal ecosystem from pollution, as well as address the impact of ocean acidification, for instance. Here, just a quick overview of what we have achieved over the last 5 years. We have carried out around 300 activities and projects that we created or we have supported financially. We have involved more than 25,000 of people and young people directly involved, thanks to conferences, lessons, workshops, and so on. We work on 8 digital platforms, and we have collected and achieved a huge amount of media exposures. This is just our social media. I invite you to follow us, of course, on our social media. That's it's the real important channel in order to promote awareness and to reach a huge amount of people. So let me just spend a few minutes on the ocean value. So what is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of the ocean? I asked several times this question to people, and frequently I collect positive words like freedom, peace, breathe, sport. When we think about the ocean, we think of positive messages. But the ocean gives us a lot of benefits in terms of oxygen, for instance, in terms of absorption of CO2 emissions, the 25% more or less of the emissions of CO2 we put in the atmosphere is absorbed by the ocean. So the ocean helps us to stabilize the global climate, for instance. But the ocean helps us also with transportations and provides us a lot of work. More than 350 million of people's work thanks to the services that the ocean provides to us. Here are some more data about what the ocean services can give us. So the ocean economy, so the economy that directly use the ocean resources, employs around 200 million people, and over 40% of the world population depends on ocean capital. But the ocean has different issues and threats, fortunately. Here I summarize 5 of the most important issues. The first one is of course, ocean warming. As I said, the ocean absorbs the warmth and the CO2 emissions. So it helps us to regulate the temperature, but it's getting warmer. So last year was the year in which we measured the highest temperature of our ocean, and that's not it's not a good thing for the environment, for sure, for biodiversity, for animals, and for our lives as well. Contamination from oil spills and marine litter is a huge problem as well, considering for instance, plastic pollution that we will see in a few moments, but not only. We have also ocean acidification that is caused by CO2. Absorbing CO2, the ocean is getting more acid. It's getting more acid with a pH level that is decreasing. That it's very critical, and it's very dangerous for corals, for instance. And then we have eutrophication. So the increasing of the nutrients that we put in the ocean, that we put in the ocean, it's improving, it's increasing the eutrophication of the ocean that enter the aquatic environment and causes the overgrowth of algae, for instance. So we have a lower amount of oxygen. And then we have the last big issue. It's linked to unsustainable fishing practices. We are taking too much from the ocean, in particular in terms of fishes. So we need to promote sustainable activities in order to take the value of the ocean, to take the fishing stocks of the ocean in a sustainable way. So as we have seen, we are facing a huge amount of issues, a huge amount of complexity. So sometimes we figure out that we are living in a world that is getting very, very, very complex, and it's difficult to understand where to go, where to invest our money, what kind of projects we can carry out in order to face all this complexity. And as I said before, we think that these 3 objectives are very important to move forward and to understand where to start to face and to fight these issues. So the first one is awareness, and then we have knowledge and impact. The good thing is that we live in times where we have information, we have access to information free. I would say thanks to web and thanks to social media, we have free access to information, we have data, and we have technologies. So it's the first time in our times that we can have all these 3 things. But it's really important to know how to use all this information, all this data, and how to promote and to implement the right technologies in order to have an impact. Here I would like just to show you this video that I think that give us the imagine, the idea of the complexity. Okay, yes, some music as well. Just to give you the idea that we need to face a huge complexity, and the ocean and everything is based on land, are interconnected. So everything that is happening in the ocean, you can see all the currents around the globe are strictly related to human activities, and human activities are linked to the conditions of our oceans as well. I want to spend a few seconds on this issue. It's plastic pollution. Here we have Po River. Just 2 years ago, we didn't have any water in that period, and you can see the huge amount of plastic. This is to underline two things. The first one is that more than 90% of the pollutants, and in particular the 80% of plastics that we can find in the ocean, is coming from land. So the rivers are one of the most source of this pollutant. So if you need to fight the issues related to the ocean, we need to have a more holistic approach. We need to be aware that we have to worry about what we do on land. The second thing that I want to underline is that we need, thanks also to the scientists, to understand where to spend our resources, as I said before, and where to implement projects to fight this kind of issues. To fight plastic pollutions, we read every day. We read about many different startups, for instance, that want to clean the ocean. Here, for instance, we have 3 different devices that want to promote how to fight these important issues, putting some barriers in the ocean, some bins in our sea, in order to collect plastic. But it's correct to do this kind of things in order to fight plastic pollution. Here we can see that plastic pollution is everywhere, and plastic is getting in the ocean, macroplastic that gets in the ocean in a relatively short period of time degrades, and we have microplastics and nanoplastics almost everywhere, entering also our food chain. So going back to the question, it's really important to fight this issue, putting some barriers or collecting plastic in the ocean. The answer is no. We have to think in a more holistic way, thinking how to stop plastic entering the ocean, how to define what are the causes, what are the sources of plastic, because we cannot clean the ocean. The 90% of the plastic entering in our ocean is not floating. It's not floating. It's moving fast on the ocean bed, so you cannot collect it, and it degrades as well. So we cannot collect microplastics. We cannot collect nanoplastics. So this is just to underline that we have to invest and to communicate in a right way the issues, in order to orientate all the resources on the right way. So we have to find the right route. We have to find the right position where we are thanks to scientific community, and we have to define the route where we want to go, how we want to reach our objectives using the right technologies and the right innovations. Here are three takeaways of what we have seen till now. So we have underlined the complexity of the ocean environment. So everything is connected, the impact of the ocean on our lives and our lives on the ocean. It's very important, and we have to avoid oversimplification. So we have to be aware of the complexity and to be aware that we need to communicate and to promote awareness in the right ways. So and then we live in uncertainty because of climate change. Also, we are facing extraordinary effects on the environment and on our communities, and everything happens very quickly. So we have to be ready to face uncertainty and to face quick changes of our environment. But for sure, we need a science-based approach. So we need to consider what science communities think about all these issues, and we need to have a much broader approach, an holistic approach on the issues that are not easy to understand, are not easy to promote, and are not easy to face, to fight. So I close this overview on the ocean. I want to dedicate this part of my speech on blue economy path we have done over the last 5 years. We have identified the need to have a new approach to this relevant topic. Trying to understand, thanks to a qualitative but also quantitative research methods, how businesses and companies are affecting the ocean. So we started in 2019 with a focus on the Mediterranean Sea, trying to analyze 220 companies' reports. We have downloaded all the sustainability reports, trying to understand what they are doing for the ocean, if they are aware of their impact on the ocean. And then we moved the hereafter on 2020 on a global perspective, analyzing 1,660 companies in 17 industrial sectors. And then in June this year, we have published our latest report, Capturing the Blue Opportunity, through which we could analyze more than 2,200 global companies. And so we had a much more broader overview of what they are doing, what they are saying, how they are committed on these issues. So our approach, as I said before, was holistic. So we didn't analyze only the companies that have a direct impact on the ocean, but we understood that we need to investigate also the indirect pressures that are generated on the ocean by companies. More than the 90% of the impacts are generated by land-based activities, such as agri-food industries, textile industries, chemical industries, that are not strictly close to the ocean, but they generate an indirect pressures that are so important to investigate and to understand in order to study these kind of issues. So we collected, thanks to the scientific community, all these pressures, and we have here you can see a very complex matrix, but just to show you in the left column, you can see all the 17 industries, and on the first row, you can see all the, it's called the GES. They are Global Environmental Status Indicators. And we, thanks to scientific community, we asked them on which of these indicators is human activity generating pressures. So you can see the right, the red indications are where we have the higher impact. So for instance, fishing industries is generating a very high impact on biodiversity, on food webs, on marine litter, and so on. So you can see as more or less each industry is in theory capable to generate a pressure, direct or indirect pressure on the ocean. So our research underlined how we have different approaches. In this picture, you can see in this graph, you can see how we have divided all the industry, all the companies we have analyzed. On the left, you can see the measure of awareness, how companies, the percentage of companies that are aware of their pressures on marine environment. Below, we have the activation level, so the percentage of companies that are carrying out actions that benefit directly the marine environment. We put these two factors together, and we have defined on the lower left part of this picture laggards, that are companies that are not aware and are not doing anything for the ocean. So that's a huge amount of companies. In the left part, in the upper part, we have locked-in companies. They are aware of the pressures that they can generate on marine environment, but they are not doing anything. So they are locked in. They want to do something, but they don't know what to do. They don't know where to invest money, time, and so on. In the right part of our graph, we have concerned companies. They are doing a lot for the environment and for marine environment, but without any aware on their pressure. They are not aware of their impact on the ocean. They are not aware of what kind of pressures they are generating on the ocean. And on the upper right part, we have sustainability leaders, that are companies that are aware of their impact, and they are doing something to lower their impact on the ocean. They are just the 26% of our sample. And here you can see, considering the SDGs, you can see that we have figured out that just the 7% of the companies we have analyzed in 2019 are doing something, are declaring something about the SDG 14. So it's the one of the SDGs that it's not that much mentioned in the sustainability report. We can see that over 2 years, in 2021, the percentage, it's a little bit increased, but still it's very low. In this picture, we can see that in our latest report, we have underlined how companies are some way are aware of the pressures of their industry on the ocean, but not all the companies are are aware, are doing something on this. Here you can see the 3 ocean domains we have identified: marine integrity and diversity, marine water contamination, and seawater and seabed physical condition integrity. So in this picture, we can see how each industry can affect these ocean domains and the percentage of companies that are aware of these pressures. We have used an important tool for our research that is generative AI. This tool helped us a lot for our latest research we have published in June in order to collect and extract insights from more than 300,000 pages. So we have downloaded all the publications, all the sustainability reports published by 2,200 companies, and thanks to generative AI, we have identified keywords that help us to extract not only data, but also projects, but also insights and context related to what these companies are doing for the ocean. And I want to underline how technologies, it's a good opportunity. It's a relevant, a very important opportunity for sustainable development and for our activities as well, because it allowed us to save time, to have more data, to have a much more relevant impact on our research. So we have started identifying what are the sectors that are important on this topic, and we have identified 6 prioritized sectors like fashion and apparel, agri-food, fishing and aquaculture, mining, oil and gas, utilities and electrical power, and construction. These are the sectors that to us need to be involved in order to make them more aware of their huge impact on the ocean, trying to promote, as I said before, good innovations, good technologies, and good knowledge in order to reach the European and global goals for sustainability. On this picture, we have shown how companies are facing, are using this opportunity, this blue opportunity, how they are managing all the activities related to ocean sustainability. So the 50% of the companies we have analyzed, they are considering these issues like a risk management issue. So considering to work on these topics in order to lower the risk exposure on the environment. 35% think also and work also on these topics, considering the opportunity that can be generated, considering environmental sustainability as a market opportunity, for instance. But only the 15% of these samples is able to completely understand the huge opportunity that the ocean resources and ocean sustainability can be for companies, and how can be a market advantage, also a competitive advantage for them to invest in new sustainable innovations, for instance. So we have understood and declared that just a few companies are aware that there's this cycle a sustainable cycle that begins with awareness and closes when activation turns into business creations. Just with this approach, we believe that we can have a sustainable future. We believe we can accelerate sustainability just if we are able to promote this kind of approach throughout companies and throughout leaders. So I want to close this part underlying these three things: that awareness on ocean-related issues, it's not widespread in a proper way, and the activation to mitigate the pressures exerted on marine ecosystem is still limited. So we really need to promote a good communication, a good communication channels that are able to promote in the right way this kind of information. Second point is the lack of specific ocean-related reporting. So we have seen how companies are working on the topic in some different way, and they are not doing disclosures in a proper way on this topic. So we underlined how it's really important to define a way to report and to disclose this kind of topics, and how companies are facing these issues. The third point is that we need an urgent need for new and dedicated initiatives to promote the ocean-related pressures, and, as I said, the ocean-related disclosure for companies. So if I have some minutes, but tell me, Stefania, if I have still some minutes.
Yes, just a couple of minutes, yes, so we can leave space to questions.
Okay, I just want to introduce you this initiative we have launched the last year. It's called Ocean Disclosure Initiative Framework. It wants to fill the gap I just mentioned, so to help companies in order to be able to understand their impact on the ocean and to disclose all this information. Here you can see that the 93% of companies are using frameworks or standards that help us to disclose information on ESG, on the environment, on sustainability, but none of them are using ocean-related frameworks. So we need these kind of frameworks, and we have been trying to create one Ocean Disclosure Initiative that wants force to create awareness, to enable transparency and disclose, to foster strategic responses for ocean-related issues, but also want to support the understanding of business risks, as we said before, but also wants to help to direct investments where potential positive impact is greater. As we have seen before, it's important to select the right topics, to select the right aspects, environmental aspects on which we want to invest. So it's a tool for scientific community, for companies, but also for financial institution. It's comprehensive because it has an holistic approach. It's science-based. As I said, it's important to collaborate and to work together with the scientific community. It's sector specific because, as we said before, every industry, every sector generates a different kind of pressures on the ocean. I don't want to go too much into details, but we are going to release these frameworks next year. Currently, we have been working with different leaders, different kind of companies in order to define the characteristics of this framework in order to be able to release a tool that it's useful for companies. So it has been to be tested and validate from company first, and so we have been working with a lot of companies, and we are going to release this tool in the near future, next year. So that's all I would say. I just wanted to show you, if we have time, if you want, this video that wants to underline how we are strictly connected with the ocean, and how we need tools like this video, but tools also of different other shapes, I would say, on how we need to study and to dedicate time and resources on this topic. Let me see if I'm able to show you this video.
L'arte suprema.
No, it's not. I think it's not possible. Okay.
Okay, so
anyway, next time I will send you the link.
Thank you for your presentation, Giulio. Really, really interesting, impressive numbers and impressive images about plastic pollution and so on. So I think that it's time for sharing some questions. I see a couple of questions about communication strategies. First of all, the first question is about what communication campaigns can be carried out to promote the regulation of human activities, such as limitation of ship traffic, intensive fishing, and prohibition of coastal land use for industrial and agricultural activities. So, what kind of communication campaigns can be used? That's
well, I would like to involve some of your students on this topic, because it's not easy. As I said, we really believe, I really believe that it's important to involve, engage the leaders, the companies that generate the huge amount of impact on the ocean in this industry. So we need to define what kind of companies, what kind of stakeholders we need to involve, and to create a communication for them. So dedicate resources and messages that are directly, I would say, targeted for that kind of stakeholders. It's not easy. But as I said, it's important to define first where we want to obtain how and where we want to act.
Yes, and then there are a couple of questions which are very similar about the protected areas, protected marine areas. So one question mentions the example of France, which has achieved 30% of its coastal areas as protected areas, marine areas. And another question is very similar. So what progress has been made in establishing marine protected areas according to the European regulations?
Well, unfortunately, Europe and Italy have not been working a lot on this topic. We know that has been defined recently a global commitment on the protection of the 30% of our seas, of the ocean environment. But I would say that in Italy and in the Mediterranean Sea, we have some good initiatives, some good marine protected areas that are managed in a very good way. I would say that we really need to promote this kind of best practices. For instance, we have one in Sicily and in Sardinia that they are working very well. and we need to find the best practices, and we need to promote these best practices and to use these examples to extend this approach. Of course, the protected areas are extremely important also for a communication point of view, because they can allow us to understand that we can recreate the beauty of the marine environment. We can see the beauty. We can see how the ocean, how the sea is if we protect it. So that's a very important thing for a communication point of view, to promote awareness. So the protected marine areas are, I would say, that are important also for I would say to promote beauty, to promote the sense of need to work on that. But still, we are not doing that much, unfortunately.
Okay, I don't see further questions, but if I can, I would just add a couple of suggestions about communication strategies, because in order to to prepare this, this webinar, I have okay, so I have found some tips for developing communication strategies about oceans. So I would like to share just a couple of tips. First of all, we have a lot of researches that declare that it's important that people understand the interconnection between ocean health and human health. Also, Giulio talked about it, but it is really interesting because it is one of the 7 ocean literacy principles. 7 ocean literacy principles have been found, and we have some researches that say that 82% of Americans are just aware of one principle, which is the great diversity of life in ecosystems, but they are not aware of the other 6. So obviously, in order to improve the positive impact on oceans by companies, by individuals, we need to improve the ocean literacy and its principles. And then I have found very interesting experimental design resources about the emotions. And these researches say that focusing on emotions such as sadness and awe influences actions for oceans conservation. And there are a lot of examples of sad videos and sad messages. So it's really interesting also to be and to trigger some kinds of emotions in order to be more effective. And but even if we need emotions, but be very careful, because we need to avoid anxiety, because there are a lot of persons who are anxious, who are stressed, under pressure about environmental changes, climate change. So we need to avoid to improve eco-anxiety. And finally, we have seen, for instance, that the use of Instagram and the use of videos may help expose people to ocean literacy principles, and also as well as spending time in understanding the marine environment. And finally, I want just to show you this final figure, the final diagram, which is it seems very complex, but it is not complex at all, because it says us that sustainable ocean behaviors are related to personal factors and external factors. So when we are planning communication campaign, strategic communication campaign, we need to keep under control personal factors, and to take into consideration who are our publics, their personality traits, but also their values, but also the level of their, obviously, ocean literacy, in order to be more effective when we communicate with them. But in the meantime, we need also to consider some external factors, such as some social norms, for instance, because when you plan a communication campaign about social and about sustainability issues, most of the times behaviors of people are influenced by the social norms which are shared within the communities where these people live. So this really complicates to plan and to project a communication campaign which is effective in order to try to improve ocean-related behaviors and sustainable ocean-related behavior. So just my 2 cents. I wanted to, sorry, just I don't know if I can. Okay. So I don't know if, okay, there is another question. We have time just for another question. Disclosure project, about the companies involved in the project test. When you approach them, did they welcome the initiative positively, and were these companies already sensitive to ocean issues?
So we didn't find many companies already aware of their impact. They are curious on what that they can generate on the ocean, but at the same time they are very, I would say, worried about the need to collect more data, to work and to spend more time on another issue. So it's not easy to work with them. But since we have worked with global companies, most of them have already teams and people dedicated to the environment issues. So was not that difficult to ask them to work on the ocean as well. And most of the time they already collect data that are useful for this framework. So it really depends. If we work with global companies, it's much more easier. If you work with smaller companies like PMI, it's almost impossible. It's a long path, you know. You have to sensitize them first and to make them aware that it's not compulsory now, but it's going to be compulsory in a few years. So they, as soon as they dedicate time and resources on that, better they will face all the regulations and all the critical points in the future.
Okay, so I think that we have concluded our webinar. Thank you to Giulio Magni. Thank you to our guests for the interesting presentation. Thank you to you all for your questions and for your attention. Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.